The smoke still rose from the broken buildings when stepped off the rescue shuttle. She pulled her mask over her face and looked at the destruction around her. The colony had been beautiful once. Now it was nothing but ash and rubble. 30 minutes, Captain said through her earpiece. We grab survivors and leave. Pirates might come back. Nodded even though he could not see her. She walked carefully through the ruins, stepping over broken glass and twisted metal. The colony had been home to over 2,000 aliens. Now there was only silence. There were wolf-like creatures that walked on two legs. They had thick fur, long ears, and golden eyes. They were known across the galaxy for their pride and their strength. They did not ask for help from other species. They solved their own problems. But pirates did not care about pride. They came with ships and weapons. They took what they wanted and destroyed what they could not carry. Checked 3 buildings and found nothing but bodies. Her heart grew heavier with each step. She had been a rescue worker for 5 years. She had seen terrible things, but this was worse than most. Time is running out, said. Head back to the shuttle. Just a few more minutes, she replied. I want to check the shelter area. She moved faster now, climbing over a fallen wall. The built shelters underground for emergencies. If anyone survived, they would be there. The entrance to the shelter was blocked by heavy stones, pushed and pulled until she created a small opening. She turned on her flashlight and crawled inside. The shelter had collapsed in several places. She saw signs of panic everywhere, broken furniture, scattered belongings, and more bodies. Then she heard it, a small sound like a whisper. Froze and listened carefully. The sound came again. It was coming from behind a pile of debris in the corner. She moved quickly but carefully. She pulled away broken wood and metal pieces until she found them. 3 cubs huddled together in the darkness. They were small, barely reaching her knee. Their fur was dirty and matted. Their golden eyes were wide with fear. Hey, said softly, it is okay. I am here to help. The cubs pressed closer together. The biggest one, a gray-furred cub, bared its small teeth at her. It was trying to protect the others. Understood, she sat down slowly and made herself smaller. She did not want to scare them more. My name is, she said, I am a human. I know you are afraid, but I promise I will not hurt you. The gray cub growled, but it was a weak sound. Could see that all 3 cubs were shaking, not just from fear. They were cold and hungry too. What is happening? Asked. Your vital signs are elevated. I found survivors, she said. 3 cubs, they are in bad shape. There was silence on the other end, then spoke again. Cubs, this is complicated. Do not let other species touch their young. If you bring them to the shuttle, there will be problems. I am not leaving them here to die. That is not what I am saying. I am saying we need to think about this carefully. Looked at the cubs. The smallest one with light brown fur had closed its eyes. Its breathing was shallow. It needed help now, not later. There is nothing to think about, said. They are children. They need help. End of discussion. She reached slowly into her bag and pulled out a nutrition bar. She broke off a small piece and placed it on the ground between her and the cubs. The gray cub sniffed the air. Its ears moved forward with interest, but it did not move toward the food. It is safe, said. Please eat. You must be so hungry. Long minutes passed. Finally, the gray cub crawled forward. It sniffed the food piece carefully, then grabbed it and moved back to the others. It gave the food to the smallest cub first. Felt tears in her eyes. Even now, even in this terrible situation, the cub was taking care of the others. She placed more food on the ground. This time, the gray cub and the 3rd cub, one with dark fur and a white patch on its chest, came forward together. They ate quickly, like they had not eaten in days. Good, whispered. That is good. Eat as much as you want. When the food was gone, the cubs looked at her with different eyes, still afraid but also curious, maybe even a little hopeful. Slowly extended her hand toward them, palm up, not threatening. The gray cub sniffed her hand. Its nose was cold and wet against her skin. Then it did something that broke her heart. It pressed its small head against her palm just for a moment. Oh, little one, said, I am so sorry for what happened to you. She looked at all 3 cubs. They were so young. They had lost everything. Their home, their family, their entire world. We need to leave now, said urgently. Sensors are picking up ships approaching. Could be pirates returning. Okay, said, I am coming, but I am bringing the cubs with me. She looked at the children. I need to carry you now. We have to move fast. Will you let me? The cubs looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Then the gray cub nodded slowly. Picked up the smallest cub first. It was so light in her arms, too light. She could feel its bones through its fur. The cub whimpered but did not fight her. "Come," she said to the other two, "stay close to me." She crawled back through the opening with the small cub in one arm. The other two followed her, struggling to keep up. Their legs were weak. They stumbled and fell several times. Stopped and looked at them. They could not walk properly. Their muscles had become weak from days without food and water. She put the small cub down gently and picked up the dark-furred one. It yelped in surprise but then settled in her arms. "Gray one," she said, "can you walk a little more, just to the shuttle?" The gray cub tried to stand tall. It took one step, then two, then collapsed. "Okay," said New Plan. She put both cubs down and removed her jacket. She tied it around her body to create a kind of sling. Then she placed all three cubs inside, against her chest. They were heavy together. Her back protested, but she did not care. "Hold on to me," she told them. "Do not let go." Small Paws grabbed her shirt. She felt their tiny hearts beating fast against her chest. Started running toward the shuttle. The ground was uneven and dangerous. Every step was a risk, but she did not slow down. Behind her, she heard the sound of engines. The pirates were coming back. "Start the engines," she shouted into her earpiece. "We are leaving now." She ran faster than she had ever run before. Her lungs burned, her legs screamed, but she kept going. The shuttle came into view. The door was open, was standing there waving at her. "Come on," he shouted. Reached the shuttle and jumped inside, hit the button and the door closed behind her. "Go," she yelled. The shuttle lifted off just as the pirate ships appeared over the horizon. They flew up and away, leaving the destroyed colony behind. Collapsed on the floor, breathing hard, the cubs were still pressed against her chest, still holding on to her shirt. "You are safe now," she whispered to them. "I promise you are safe." The gray cub looked up at her. Its golden eyes were still full of fear, but there was something else there too, something that looked like trust. And knew in that moment that she would do anything to protect these children, no matter what problems it caused, no matter what anyone said. They were hers now, and she would never let them go. The medical bay on the rescue ship was cold and white. The three cubs sat together on a bed that was too big for them. They looked small and lost in the bright room. Stood near the door watching them. The ship's doctor, a woman named, had examined them and given them fluids through their arms. The smallest cub was the weakest, said it would need several days of rest and food before it was out of danger. "They need names," said quietly too. "I cannot keep calling them big one, middle one, and small one." Nodded, she walked slowly toward the bed. The gray cub immediately moved in front of the others. Its small body was tense and ready to fight. "Easy," said softly. "I just want to talk." She sat down on a chair near the bed, not too close. She had learned that the cubs needed space. "I want to give you names," she said. "Is that okay, so I can call you properly?" The cubs looked at each other. The gray one made a soft sound in its throat. The others responded with similar sounds. They were talking to each other in their own language. Finally, the gray cub looked at and nodded once. Smiled. "Okay, let me think." She looked at the gray cub first. It was brave and protective. It always put itself between danger and the others. "I will call you," she said. "It means brave heart." The gray cub now tilted its head. It seemed to accept the name. Looked at the dark-furred cub with the white patch. This one was curious. Even in fear, its eyes always looked around, taking in everything. "You will be," she said. "It means seeker of truth." Its ears perked up at the name. A small sound came from its throat, almost like approval. Finally looked at the smallest cub, the light brown one. It was weak and sick, but its eyes still held a spark of life. "And you are," she said. "It means little light." Blinked slowly at her. It was too tired to respond much, but saw its mouth curve slightly, almost a smile. And said, "I will remember your names always." Over the next few days, spent every moment she could in the medical bay. She brought the cubs food from the kitchen. She sat with them while they ate. She talked to them about her life on Earth, about the stars outside, about anything that might comfort them. But the cubs remained afraid. Every time moved too fast, they flinched. Every time she reached toward them, they pulled back. They had been taught that humans were predators, dangerous creatures that killed without mercy. Understood, the Inhumans had a complicated history. There had been misunderstandings, conflicts. Some truly believed that humans were monsters. So she was patient, she did not push. She let them come to her when they were ready. On the fourth day, something changed. Was sitting in her usual chair, reading from her tablet. The cubs were eating their dinner. Everything seemed normal. Then tried to stand. The smallest cub pushed itself off the bed and put its feet on the floor. Its legs shook badly. It took one step, then another, then collapsed. Jumped from her chair and caught before it hit the ground. The cub cried out in fear. It struggled in her arms, trying to escape. Whispered, "You are okay. I caught you. You are okay." And growled at her from the bed. They thought she was hurting. Look, said calmly, I am not hurting. I am helping. See. She slowly lifted and placed the cub back on the bed. Then she stepped away, hands raised. Immediately checked all over, sniffing and touching. When it was satisfied that was not hurt, it looked at with confusion in its eyes. You tried to walk, said to. That is good. That means you are getting stronger. But you need to be careful. Your legs are not ready yet. Looked down at its own legs. Shame filled its golden eyes. Felt her heart break. No, no, do not be sad. This is normal. You were very sick. Your muscles need time to recover. But I can help you if you let me. The cubs looked at each other again. More soft sounds, more silent conversation. Then did something unexpected. It stood up on the bed and tried to walk to the edge. Its legs shook just like. It managed 3 steps before it started to fall. Caught it without thinking. Looked up at her with wide eyes. It had expected her to let it fall. It had expected pain. Instead, it found gentle hands and a warm hold. I will always catch you, said. That is what I do. I catch people who fall. Stared at her for a long moment. Then slowly it relaxed in her arms. The tension left its small body. This was the first time any of the cubs had truly relaxed around her. Wanted to cry. Instead, she smiled and carefully placed back on the bed. Let me show you something, she said. She held out her hands, palms up. Put your paws in my hands, hold on to me, then try to walk. Hesitated, but then with great courage, it placed its small paws in its hands. Held on firmly but gently. Now try, take a step. Took a step, its legs shook, but it did not fall. Hands kept it steady. Good, another step. Took another step and another. Its tail started to wag slightly. You are walking, said happily. Look at you go. And watched with amazement. They had never seen anything like this. A human holding their sibling's paws, helping it walk. Walked to the end of the bed and back. By the end, it was panting but smiling. My turn, said suddenly. It was the first time any of the cubs had spoken directly to her. His heart soared. Of course, she said, come here. She helped the same way. The dark-furred cub was a quick learner. It walked even further than on its first try. Watched sadly from the bed. It was still too weak to try again. Noticed, she sat down next to the smallest cub and spoke softly. You will walk soon, I promise. We just need to get more food in you first, make you stronger. Looked at her with uncertain eyes. Do you trust me? Asked. It was a big question, looked at, and they both nodded at their sibling. Turned back to slowly, carefully, it moved closer to her. Then it did something that made its breath catch. It climbed into her lap and curled up against her stomach. Froze, she did not move, she barely breathed. And watched closely, ready to act if did anything wrong. But only did one thing. She gently placed her hand on its back and started to stroke its fur. Made a sound, a soft rumble from its chest. It was purring. Cubs only purred when they felt completely safe. Tears rolled down its face. She did not wipe them away. She just kept stroking its fur and letting the tears fall. Oh, little ones, she whispered, I am so honored that you trust me. And looked at each other, then together they moved closer too. They pressed against her sides, adding their warmth to hers. 4 hearts beat together in the cold medical bay. Human and adult and children, different species, but somehow in that moment family. From that day on, everything changed. The cubs followed everywhere. They held her hands when they practiced walking. They sat on her lap during meals. They slept curled around her at night. The crew of the ship watched with amazement. No human had ever been accepted by cubs before. It was supposed to be impossible. But had done the impossible. She had earned their trust with patience and kindness. Captain called her to his office after a week. The government has been contacted, he said. They know about the cubs. They are sending a ship to collect them. Felt cold. How long? 3 days. 3 days, that was all the time she had left with, and they will take good care of them, said, care for their young very seriously. I know, said, but her heart was breaking. She went back to the medical bay where the cubs were waiting. They ran to her when she entered, grabbing her legs and wagging their tails. Said the little one could walk now, though still shakily. We practiced walking while you were gone. Watch. Watched walk across the room. Its steps were still uncertain, but it did not fall. Wonderful, said, her voice cracked slightly. Noticed immediately, the gray cub was always watching, always paying attention. What is wrong? Asked. Knelt down so she was at their level. Nothing is wrong, I am just very proud of you all. She pulled all 3 cubs into a hug. They hugged her back, their small arms wrapped around her neck. I love you, whispered. I want you to know that, no matter what happens, I love you. The cubs did not fully understand, but they felt the emotion in her words. They held her. Closed her eyes and memorized this moment, the feeling of their fur against her skin, the sound of their breathing, the warmth of their bodies. 3 days, she had 3 days to make sure these cubs were ready to face the world without her. She would make every moment count. The ship arrived 2 days early. Was in the medical bay helping practice walking when the alarm sounded. Captain's voice came through the speakers. Warship approaching, all crew to stations, bring the cubs to the meeting room. Stomach dropped, she had hoped for more time. 2 more days to prepare the cubs, 2 more days to say goodbye. What is happening? Asked. The dark-furred cub's ears were flat against its head. Some people are coming to see you, said carefully. Your people. Stood up straight. Our people, are they here to take us home? Home, the word hit like a punch. The cubs' home was destroyed. Their parents were dead. What home did they have left? They are here to help you, said. It was not a lie, but it was not the whole truth either. She picked up who was still too weak for long walks, and held her hands as they walked through the ship's corridors. The meeting room was large and cold. Captain was already there, along with several crew members. On the screen on the wall was the image of a ship. It was massive, a warship built for battle. They send a warship, whispered two. They take their children seriously, replied. His face was tense, very seriously. The screen flickered and a face appeared, an elder with silver fur and sharp eyes. Behind him stood several soldiers in armor. I am elder of the High Council, the silver said. His voice was deep and cold. You have something that belongs to us. Stepped forward, elder, we rescued these cubs from the destroyed colony. We have been caring for them and... Caring for them, interrupted, his lip curled back, showing teeth. Humans do not know how to care for young. You have probably traumatized them beyond repair. Felt anger rise in her chest. She held. With respect, elder, she said, stepping forward. These cubs were dying when I found them. They could not even stand. They had not eaten in days. We saved their lives. His eyes locked onto her. You are the human who touched them first. Yes. Then you have committed a great offense. Cubs are sacred. No outsider may touch them. No outsider may raise them. This is our law. Felt the cubs press closer to her. They could feel the hostility in his voice. I did not know your laws, said. I only knew that 3 children were dying and I could save them. Ignorance is no excuse. You will hand the cubs over immediately. We will dock with your ship in 10 minutes. The screen went dark. Turn 2 with worry on his face. This is not good, is known for his hatred of humans. He led several attacks against human colonies during the border wars. Looked down at the cubs, jaw was tight, was trembling, had buried its face in its neck. I will not let him scare these children, said firmly. They have been through enough. The next 10 minutes passed too quickly. The ship connected to theirs with a heavy clang. The airlock opened, an elder walked through with 6 armored soldiers behind him. Up close was even more intimidating. He was tall with scars across his muzzle. His golden eyes were full of ice. He looked at the cubs first. His expression changed slightly when he saw them. Come here, young ones. You are safe now. You are with your own kind. Did not move, neither did. They stayed pressed against his legs. Size narrowed. Did you hear me? Come here. We do not want to, said. Its voice was small but firm. Looked shocked. What did you say? We want to stay with, added. Nodded against shoulder. Is safe, is warm. The room went silent. The soldiers exchanged confused looks. This was not normal. Cubs should run to their own kind, not cling to aliens. His face hardened. The human has poisoned your minds. She has tricked you with her false kindness. Humans are predators. They cannot love. They only use. That is not true, shouted. Its fur stood up with anger. Held our paws when we could not walk. She fed us when we were hungry. She stayed with us when we were scared. She never hurt us. Never. Stepped forward. You are too young to understand. Humans are manipulators. Whatever she did, it was for her own benefit. What benefit? Asked coldly. I gain nothing from helping these children except the joy of seeing them recover. I do not want money. I do not want fame. I only want them to be healthy and happy. Turned his cold eyes to her. You want to keep them. That is your benefit. You want to steal cubs and raise them as your own. I know they cannot stay with me, said, her voice cracked slightly. I know they need to be with their people, but I will not hand them over to someone who frightens them. Look at them. They are shaking. It was true. The cubs were trembling with fear. Their eyes were wet. Their tails were tucked between their legs. Looked at them for a long moment. Something flickered in his eyes. Was it doubt, concern? They are afraid because of what you have done, said, but his voice was less certain now. They are afraid of you, said, not me. I have never given them a reason to fear me. Can you say the same? The question hung in the air. His jaw tightened. One of the soldiers behind him stepped forward. This one was younger, with brown fur and gentle eyes. Elder, perhaps we should give them more time. The cubs are clearly attached to this human. Forcing a separation now could cause psychological damage. Are you questioning me, Warrior Senna? Asked sharply. I am thinking of the children, Elder, as we all should be. The tension in the room was thick, and Senna stared at each other for a long moment. Finally spoke, the cubs will come with us, that is final, but, he paused and looked at with something close to respect. The human may visit them during the journey to ease the transition. It was not a victory, but it was something. Knelt down to face the cubs. Did you hear that? I can come see you. We are not saying goodbye yet. His eyes were still full of worry. Promise. I promise I will never leave you alone if I can help it. She looked at still in her arms. The small cub was crying silently. Tears ran down its furry cheeks. Oh, little light, whispered, please do not cry. This is not the end. It is just a change. I do not want change, whimpered. I want things to stay like this, with you. Felt her own tears coming. She held them back with great effort. I want that too, but sometimes we have to be brave even when we do not want to be. Can you be brave for me? Sniffled, I will try. Kissed the cub's forehead, and then she stood and faced. I will transfer to your ship with them, she said. I will help them settle in, and I expect you to treat them with kindness, not intimidation. His eyes widened. No human had ever spoken to him this way. You dare make demands. I dare to protect these children, as any parent would. Parent, the word seemed to strike deeply. His expression shifted. For just a moment, he looked almost human. Fine, he said finally. You may come, but you will follow our rules. You will respect our customs. And when we reach you will leave. Understood? Understood. Took his paw in her right hand, took her left hand, stayed in her arms. Together they walked through the airlock and onto the warship. The soldiers watched them pass with amazement. They had never seen anything like this. A human woman walking among, holding their cubs like they were her own. Walked ahead, his back stiff with tension, but even he kept glancing back at the strange group behind him. Warrior Senna fell into step beside. Thank you, Senna said quietly, for saving them. I know does not say it, but we are grateful. Those cubs would have died without you. Nodded, I would do it again in a heartbeat. I believe you, Senna looked at the cubs with soft eyes. They love you, that is clear. Cubs do not give their trust easily. Whatever you did, you earned it. I just treated them with kindness, said. That is all anyone needs, really, kindness and patience. Senna was quiet for a moment. Perhaps we have much to learn from humans after all. The group continued into the ship. The corridors were wider here, built for larger bodies. Everything was metal and cold. But the cubs did not seem scared anymore. They walked with their heads held high. Because was with them, and as long as she was there, they knew they were safe. They did not know what waited for them on They did not know what challenges lay ahead. But they knew one thing for certain. They were not alone, and that made all the difference. 2 weeks passed on the warship, 2 weeks of change, growth, and unexpected moments. Had been given a small room near the Cubs' quarters. It was not comfortable by human standards. The bed was too hard, the air was too cold, but she did not care. She was close to, and that was all that mattered. Every morning she visited them. She helped them with their walking exercises. Their legs grew stronger each day, could now walk across the room without falling, could run short distances, could almost keep up with the adult soldiers. Warrior Senna often watched their practice sessions. The Brownford soldier had become something like a friend too. She asked questions about humans, about Earth, about how human parents raised their young. "You hold your children's hands until they learn to walk," Senna said one day. "We do not do that. Cubs are expected to learn on their own. Falling is part of growing." "Falling is fine," said, "but why fall alone when someone can help you stand?" Senna thought about this for a long time. She did not have an answer. The cubs flourished under his care. Their fur became shiny and thick. Their eyes were bright. They laughed and played like healthy children should. But not everyone was happy about this. Elder watched from a distance. He never spoke to directly after their first meeting, but she saw him observing, studying. His expression was always unreadable. The other on the ship had mixed reactions. Some were curious about the human who had saved their cubs. They asked questions and listened to her answers. Others were hostile. They whispered behind her back. They called her a thief, a stealer of children. Ignored them, she focused only on the cubs. One night everything changed. Was sleeping in her small room when loud voices woke her. She jumped out of bed and ran into the corridor. Outside the cubs' quarters, a group were arguing loudly. Recognized one of them. His name was a soldier who had been hostile to her from the start. He had silver-tipped fur and cruel eyes. "The cubs should be taken now," was saying. "The council has given orders. They will be placed with proper families. The humans' influence must end." Warrior Senna stood between and the cubs' door. The council ordered a gentle transition, not a forced separation in the middle of the night. "The transition has been gentle enough. 2 weeks with that creature is more than enough." Stepped forward. "What is happening here?" All eyes turned to her, lip curled back. "This does not concern you, human. Go back to your room." "It concerns the cubs, so it concerns me." The cubs' door opened, stood there with and behind. They had heard the arguing. Called fear was clear in the cub's voice. His heart clenched. "It is okay. Everything is okay." Pushed past Senna and grabbed arm. "You are coming with me, all of you now." Cried out in pain, was gripping too hard. Something inside snapped. She moved without thinking. She stepped between and breaking his grip on the cub's arm. "Do not touch them like that," she said. Her voice was low and dangerous. Stared at her with shock, then his shock turned to rage. "You dare put your hands on me, human. I will do more than that if you hurt these children." The corridor went silent. Every present stared at a human threatening a warrior. It was unheard of. Raised his clawed hand. "I will teach you your place." His hand came down, braced for impact. But the blow never landed. Jumped in front of, the gray cub caught his arm with both paws and held on. "No," shouted, "you will not hurt her." Was so surprised that he froze. A cub was defending a human against its own kind. Moved next, standing beside. "Is good. She saved us. She held our paws when we could not walk." The smallest and weakest pushed through the others. The little cub planted itself in front of with its arms spread wide. "You will not touch our," said. Its voice was small but fierce. "She is ours, and we protect what is ours." The cubs stood in a line in front of 3 small children against a grown warrior. They were shaking with fear, but they did not move. They did not run. They stood their ground. Felt tears streaming down her face. These brave, beautiful children, ready to fight for her even though they were terrified. "Enough." The voice came from behind the group. Everyone turned. Elder stood at the end of the corridor. His face was impossible to read. "Everyone lower your hands," commanded. "Now." Slowly lowered his arm, let go but stayed in front of. Walked forward until he stood in front of the cubs. He looked down at them for a long moment. "You would fight a warrior to protect this human?" he asked. Yes, said without hesitation. Why? Because she protected us first when no one else would. She found us in the dark. She carried us when we could not walk. She fed us when we were starving. She held us when we were scared. His expression flickered. Something moved behind those cold eyes. And you, he asked. Taught us that kindness is strength, said. She was kind when she had no reason to be. She was gentle when she could have been rough. She loved us when she could have left us to die. Turn 2, the smallest cub looked up at the elder without flinching. What about you, little one? His voice was steady, held my paws until I learned to walk. Now I can stand on my own, and I choose to stand in front of her, because that is what you do for the people you love. The corridor was completely silent, even had nothing to say. Stared at the cubs, then he looked at, standing behind them with tears on her face. You did this, said. It was not a question. I did nothing special, replied. I just loved them. Just loved them, repeated the words like he was tasting something strange. Humans use that word easily, but do not. Love is sacred to us. It is not given lightly. It should not be given lightly by anyone, said, but it should still be given, freely, without expecting anything in return. Was quiet for a long time. The entire corridor waited for him to speak. Finally he turned to, take your soldiers and leave. There will be no forced separation tonight, or any night. But elder, that is an order. The council will hear my report, and my recommendation. His face twisted with anger, but he knew better than to argue with. He gathered his soldiers and left. Turned back to the cubs, his expression had changed. The coldness was still there, but something warmer lived beneath it now. Return to your quarters, he told the cubs. Get some sleep. We will talk more tomorrow. The cubs looked at, she nodded at them, and walked back to their room, but before closing the door they looked at. Elder said, thank you for stopping him. His ears twitched. I did not do it for you. I did it because I saw something tonight that I have not seen in a very long time. What did you see? Asked. Looked at courage, true courage, the kind that makes small ones stand against giants. He walked away without another word. Senna stayed behind. She looked at with wonder in her eyes. I have never seen anyone speak to like that, Senna said, or stand up to. You are either very brave or very foolish. Probably both, admitted. She was still shaking from the confrontation. Senna smiled. The cubs stood in front of you. Did you see? They could barely walk 2 weeks ago. Now they stood against a warrior without flinching. I saw. His voice was thick with emotion. You taught them that. You taught them to be brave. Shook her head. They were always brave. I just helped them remember it. She went into the cubs' room. They were waiting for her, huddled together on their bed. Sat down and opened her arms. All 3 cubs rushed into her embrace. You were so brave, she whispered. I am so proud of you. We were scared, admitted. Being brave does not mean you are not scared. It means you do the right thing even when you are scared. And you did, all of you. Looked up at her. Will they try again to take us away? I do not know, said honestly. But whatever happens, you know how to stand on your own now. You know how to be brave, and you know that you are never really alone. You have each other. And we have you, said. Held them, yes, for as long as I can. You have me. They stayed like that until the cubs fell asleep, and stayed awake, watching over them, thinking about what tomorrow would bring. It was getting closer. The final decisions would be made soon. She might have to leave them forever. But tonight, none of that mattered. Tonight, her cubs had stood in front of her and faced their fears. Tonight, they had learned to walk confident. And nothing could ever take that away from them. It was beautiful. Mountains touched the sky. Forests stretched beyond sight. Great cities rose from the landscape like silver towers. Watched through the window as the ship descended. This was the end of her journey, the place where she would have to say goodbye. The cubs stood beside her, pressing against the glass. They had never seen there before. They were too young when their parents took them to the colony. It is so big, whispered. And green, added. I did not know places could be this green. Said nothing. The gray cub just stared at the world below with wide eyes. The ship landed at the capital city. A crowd had gathered to meet them. Word had spread about the human who saved the cubs, about the children who stood against a warrior to protect her. The story had traveled faster than the ship. Elder led them off the ship. The crowd parted for him, murmuring and pointing at the strange group. Walked with the cubs, she held Paw in her right hand and walked close beside her. She could feel their nervousness. They had never seen so many of their own kind. A platform had been set up in the landing area. On it stood the High Council of the 12 Elders, each one ancient and powerful. They would decide what happened next. Approached the platform and bowed. High Council, I bring the survivors of Colony 7, 3 cubs orphaned by the pirate attack, and, he paused, looking back at their protector. The head elder was an ancient female with white fur and clouded eyes, but when she looked at her gaze was sharp. Approach, human, the head elder commanded. Let go of Paw and walked forward. She stopped at the base of the platform and waited. You are the one called, the one who found our children in the ruins. Yes, elder. Tell us what happened in your own words. So she told them about the destroyed colony, about crawling through the collapsed shelter, about finding 3 small cubs huddled in the darkness, too weak to stand. She told them about the long days of earning trust, about holding their paws while they learned to walk, about teaching them that kindness could come from unexpected places. She told them about the night the cubs stood in front of her, ready to fight for her even though they were terrified. When she finished, the platform was silent. The elders looked at each other with unreadable expressions. Finally, the head elder spoke again. These cubs, they have grown close to you. Yes. Too close, some would say. You have influenced them, changed them. Felt a spark of defiance. I helped them survive. I helped them heal. If that is a crime, then I am guilty. A murmur ran through the crowd. No one spoke to the High Council this way. But the head elder did not seem angry. Instead, she looked at the cubs. Children, come forward. And walked to the platform. They stood together, shoulder to shoulder. You have heard what the human said. Is it true? Every word, replied. She claims she taught you courage, that she helped you learn to stand. Is this also true? Looked at and they all nodded at each other, then spoke. When found us, we could not even stand alone. Our legs were too weak. Our hearts were too broken. We had lost everything, our home, our parents, our hope. Continued, gave us food when we were hungry, warmth when we were cold, comfort when we were sad, but more than that, she gave us something to believe in. Stepped forward, the smallest cub spoke with a voice that rang clear across the crowd. Held our paws until we learned to walk. She caught us when we fell. She never got angry. She never gave up on us. And when we were strong enough to stand on our own, she let us go. The head elder leaned forward. Let you go. She knew we could not stay with her, said. She knew we belonged with our own kind, but she never made us feel like a burden. She never made us feel unwanted. She just loved us, the way a parent loves a child. The crowd was completely silent now. Even the elders seemed moved by the little cub's words. And so we learned, continued, not just to walk, but to be brave, to be kind, to stand up for what is right, even when it is hard. We learned all of this from a human, from... The head elder sat back. She closed her eyes for a long moment. When she opened them, she looked directly at. In all my long years, I have never seen anything like this. A human teaching cubs, it should not work. Our kinds are too different, too far apart. She stood up from her seat. The other elders gasped. The head elder rarely stood. But here is the truth that I see today. 3 cubs who should have died in the ruins of a colony. 3 children who could not even stand alone, and now look at them, standing tall, speaking with courage, ready to face whatever comes. She walked down from the platform until she stood in front of. You did this, human. You held their paws until they learned to walk confident. This is not a crime. This is a miracle. Felt tears in her eyes. I only did what anyone should do. I helped children in need. No, you did more than that. You showed us something we had forgotten. The head elder turned to face the crowd. We are proud, too proud perhaps. We believe that strength means standing alone. We teach our children to fall and rise by themselves. We do not hold their paws. We do not catch them when they stumble. She looked at the cubs, but look at these children. They are not weak because someone helped them. They are stronger. They are braver. They stand not because they had to learn alone, but because someone stood with them first. The head elder faced again. You have taught us a lesson today of Earth, a lesson about strength and kindness, about holding on and letting go, about what it truly means to love someone. She placed her old, weathered paw on his shoulder. I hereby declare that as a friend of the people, she will always be welcome on our world, and these 3 cubs, she looked at, and they will be given a choice. The cubs looked at her with wide eyes. You may stay with families as is our tradition, or, the head elder smiled for the first time, you may stay in contact with your human mother, she may visit, she may be part of your lives, the choice is yours. Did not hesitate, we want both, we want to learn about our people, but we do not want to lose. Then you shall have both. The crowd erupted, some cheered, some murmured in confusion, but most simply watched with wonder as the cubs ran to and threw themselves into her arms. Held them tight, tears ran freely down her face now, she did not care who saw. I thought I was going to lose you, she whispered. Never, said, you are stuck with us now. Forever, added. And ever, finished. Laughed through her tears, I can live with that. Elder approached them, his face was different now. The coldness had melted away, in its place was something like respect. I misjudged you, human, he said quietly. I thought you were trying to take something from us, instead you gave us something precious. I gave nothing, said, the cubs did all the work, they just needed someone to believe in them. Shook his head, no, you gave them your heart, without hesitation, without expecting anything in return, that is rare in any species. He extended his paw, a gesture of respect among. Took it without hesitation. They stood there, human and connected by something stronger than species or tradition. The cubs watched with bright eyes, their tails wagged with happiness. Behind them, warrior Senna wiped tears from her own eyes. She had seen something beautiful today, something that would change her people forever. And across the crowd, thousands have looked at the strange scene and wondered. Perhaps they had been wrong about humans. Perhaps there was more to these strange creatures than they had believed. Perhaps sometimes the bravest thing you can do is hold someone's paw until they learn to walk confident. Stayed on them for a month, she helped the cubs settle into their new life. She introduced them to their foster families. She made sure they were happy and safe. And when it was finally time to go, the cubs stood tall at the spaceport. They did not cry. They did not beg her to stay. They smiled. We will see you soon, said. You promised to visit every season. And I always keep my promises, replied. She hugged each of them one last time, then she walked toward her ship. At the entrance, she turned back for one final look. 3 cubs stood in the sunlight, their heads were high, their shoulders were back, their eyes were bright with hope and courage. They had come so far from those broken children in the ruins, so far from the ones who could not even stand alone. Now they stood confident, and they would stand that way for the rest of their lives. Smiled through her tears and raised her hand in farewell. The cubs raised their paws in return, then boarded her ship and flew into the stars. But she carried them with her in her heart forever. And somewhere on a distant world, 3 young carried her too. That is the power of holding someone's paw until they learn to walk. It stays with you. Always.